Hey guys, welcome to this video, and today we're talking about printing. One of the goals that I set for 2025 was to shoot most of my images with this camera, the Leica M11. And another goal is to finally start printing my images. Because I'm one of that guys that bought over 10 cameras, including that absolutely expensive M11, before I was even thinking about a printer. And that has a reason, because when I think about printers, I think about problems. Those things notoriously don't work, I don't know why. But, I have to start printing, because that's a very important part of photography, so it had to be easy. So to keep it simple, let's do it step by step. We're starting with lab versus self-printing. Then we're talking about which printer you should buy. Then we're talking paper, because paper makes a massive difference. And then we're talking about the printing process, so you get the best images out of your printer. And if you're thinking right now, hey, that sounds very complicated. What's this guy talking about easy? Why not just throwing all my images on Instagram? Why even bothering with Instagram? Hear me out. Because printing is very, very essential. It's the last step of your photography process. It's the only thing where your camera really matters, where all those quality, where your pixels, where the details matter. Of course, on Instagram, well, the difference between the phone and the camera is not that big. And printing is one of those things that AI can't do, because printing is bringing back your images into the real world. So, let's get started. So the first step is to talk about lab printing versus self-printing. So for whom is lab printing? Lab printing is for those guys that do not print very often. If you don't plan to print regularly, then the lab is probably better, because you have to invest into a printer, into ink and into paper. And if you don't use it regularly, well, yeah, lab printing is better. For everyone else, I think printing at home, printing by yourself, is the better way, at least for me. Because before I bought a printer, I never printed my images, and that had a reason. And well, that's because I'm just not very patient. If I wanted to print something, I want it now. I just don't want to send it to a lab and wait for 1 week. And that has a few reasons, of course. First one, I want it now, I want to hang it on the wall. But it's also if I made a failure, if something's wrong with the image, I get it back after a week and I see, damn, the colors are off or something like that. And it takes me another week to correct it and get the image back. And it's a very long process, just not easy, not fast, nothing for me. Now let's talk about which printer you should buy. This is the printer I bought for myself. It's the Canon Pro 1000. But only because I bought this printer, that doesn't mean it's the right printer for you. Oh, by the way, this is the first piece of Canon kit I ever owned. Never owned a Canon camera. Or Nikon, Olympus, Leica, Sony and so on. Never Canon. Pretty good so far. So what convinced me to buy this printer? Well, honestly, number one is it was on a budget, because the successor is out. And number two is they said it's easy to use. It is. And that's something that was very important for me. It was easy to set up and ready to use right away. So let's talk about the printer you should buy. The first thing you have to decide is the brand. And I would suggest buying either a Canon or an Epson printer, because those are the two printers the pros use. So I think you can't be wrong with each one. I never used an Epson one. Don't know if they're better than the Canons or not. I just can say I'm pretty satisfied with my Canon printer. So after you decide which brand you want to go, you should set your budget. And from there on, I would suggest look which is the printer that prints the biggest size. Of course, after budget and all, size is everything in printing. The bigger, the better. This one is able to print A2, but A3 Plus or A3 is good as well if you do not have the budget for an A2 printer. No problem. You can spend much more. There are printers that print oversized, A1 and even bigger, but those things are 2K north. So I think with some printer like that, you're in a good way. White gloves, and that means paper time, because photo paper is pretty expensive and you do not want to ruin it with your fatty fingers, right? So let's talk about paper. And oh my god, There are so many different papers. There are glossy ones, there are matte ones, there is no limit. So this is very confusing at the beginning. So at first let me show you a few differences. And this one, for example, that's very nice. That comes with the printer, a test from Canon, test paper. This is a very glossy one. It's called Pro Luster paper. And this paper, give me a second, is, like I said, it is very glossy, very white, very bright. So everything that you print on here will, well, it will shine. And this one, for example, this is Hahnemühle Photorack paper. This is more of a matte paper. It is a little bit textured and it looks absolutely different. Images printed on both of these, I mean, you can see it in the video. The color of this one is not as bright, the white is not as bright as this one. This is a bit warmer. So images look totally different. And especially on this one, they look super three-dimensional. And that is one of the differences. This is a good photo paper from Canon, from the manufacturer of the printer. This is an art paper from a German paper mill. Hahnemühle, for example, they make, I think, 10 or 20 different papers. So they have this photo rack, they have Irida, they have matte paper, they have glossy paper and everything in between. So now again you say, how can this be easy? Well, I just made the choice easy and it was the right choice. I was looking for the paper most of the photographers are printing with, or where many say they have good results with it, and it's for black and white and it's good for just almost everything. And that's Hahnemühle Photorack 300. So I just bought this paper. I made it easy. I will make a few tests in the future, but it was absolutely the right decision because every image I printed on Hahnemühle Photorack came out beautifully. I'm sure there are other manufacturers out there like Canson or Cranston, I'm not quite sure how they're called. They make something like a Photorack as well. It doesn't have to be Hahnemühle. It's just, I think they're the famous ones, but they're also not very cheap. I bought a pack of 20 A2 sheets and it was over 200 bucks. So it's $10, no, it's 25 sheets. It's around $10 a sheet and that's a lot. I also bought a roll. That's a bit cheaper, but I mean, you have to mess around with cutting and you have to buy a good cutter because this is really thick paper. And that makes a difference as well. The thickness of the paper just feels so much better, believe me. So yeah, if you're buying in rolls, you have to mess around with cutting, you have to buy a good cutter as well, because you do not want to mess with this very expensive paper. You do not want to mess it up. So if you know that you're printing most of the time A2, A3, A4 or something like that, believe me, buy a pack with sheets, because as you can see, this one, well, it's not even, which is normal because it's from a roll, but you have to flatten it a bit, and the printer can have its problems with a sheet that's banded like this. So if you know what you want to print with which size, highly recommend the sheets. But if you want to print some special sizes like this, for example, rectangle, well, you do not get rectangle sheets to buy. You have to go with the roll. Of course, you can cut down A2 sheets as well, but that's much more expensive. So, like I said, get yourself a good paper. I absolutely can recommend the Hahnemühle Photorack 300 grams. Work perfectly with everything. Make it easy for you. Get one universal paper, and from there on you can test. Now that we talked about the printer you should buy, about the paper you should use, let's finally talk about printing. And what I want to print is coins, because I found this little treasure thing in the house of my grandparents. And in there I found many different coins. And for example, I found this 2 pfennig, it's like 2 cents or something like that, from 1924, I think. Yeah, from 1924. And I found 2 Pfennig from 1875, and I also found 2 Pfennig from 1939. The special thing about that is those coins are all from different times in Germany. The first one I printed already too is this one from 1875. It's from the Kaiserreich. That's when Germany was a monarchy. Then the next one, oops, forgot something here. The next one, the one from 1924. This is from the first republic in Germany, from the first democracy Germany had, the Weimar Republic. And the next one, the one that we print is from, well, it's from a dark time. It's from the Third Reich. And it's also 2 Pfennig. And yeah, let's print it. So now we're in the Canon Professional Print and Layout software. And first thing we have to do is to import our image. And that's super simple. It's just drag and drop. So I take my image here, the Rice Pfennig, put it into the software. Here you can size it down or up a bit. And if it's okay for you, then we're going onto the right side. And on top you see the print and things like that. And the first thing you have to change or you have to set is here. Now the software is in German. You have the media type here. And for the Hahnemühle Photoreich, you have to set heavy fine art paper. That's German, it's whereas fine art papier, it's heavy fine art paper. Then you have to set the size of the paper, which is for me 30 by 30 centimeters, or you can also choose foot here. Then you have to choose the the feeder for the paper, and for heavy paper like the Hahnemühle Photoreich, you have to choose the manual feeder. Then we have the print quality, and it's the highest possible that you have to choose. And everything else is pretty standard. You can do a lot of things, but the only other thing you have to absolutely do is ICC profiles. You can download the ICC profiles at the manufacturer or some of them at Canon, I think. But download the ICC profiles for your printer. It's pretty easy. Just download them and put them into the software. Nothing special, and select it here. You can see here many, of course, there are all the Canon ICC profiles, and this is the Hahnemühle one that I downloaded. So, and if you're here, everything is set to print. It's nothing more you have to do. It's that easy. And with that, just hit print. Now there's a little warning that says that some parts of the image are maybe not printed. Of course, as you can see, it's a bit over the edge, but that's what I want. It's a bit zoomed in, and of course those grayed out things won't be printed. But no problem for me here. I shot this image with the Leica M11, so the size is pretty, the resolution is more than high enough. So let's start the printing. Now it sends to the printer, and well, there it goes. And this is our final print. Look at all those details. It came out beautifully. This was a personal project for me. I found those coins at my grandparents' house. They're both not alive anymore, so I have something from them. And it's nice to have those coins up from 1875 up to 1939, because they represent every different political system in Germany. First, we have the monarchy with this one from 1875, the Kaiserreich. Then we have the first democracy in Germany, the Weimar Republic with this one. And then the Dark Age, the Third Reich with this one. And the only thing that's missing right now is a 2 Pfennigstück from the Bundesrepublik Deutschland, which was after the Third Reich, the second democracy, and then Euro came. But I want to shoot the German coins, so yeah, I like it, I'm proud of it. I will now frame it and hang it to the wall. Back here, I don't know if you can see this shoe. This was the first image I printed, like those Apple products, on a pure white background. This is something like a portrait of my children. This is the first shoe of my children. And that's something very nice, because in the office I can't hang an image of my children, or I don't want to hang an image of my children. And by that, this is something like a portrait of them. Yeah, I absolutely like that. And the idea that you can bring personal things to your office via images like that. If you want to see a video where I shot viral snacks like that on pure white background, watch these videos. I don't know if you want to eat them anymore if you see them from up close. So thanks for watching and see you at the next one. Bye guys!